welcome everybody. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. I wish to acknowledge elders past, present and emerging, and all the elders of all the lands we work, live and love on, and pay my respects to ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. So because we've got a couple of new people, I'm going to start with, can we just go around how people are feeling about Community Connector things at the moment? And so a one-word mood check. Maybe we'll start with Cindy.
I'm curious.
Great. Gayle?
Distracted.
And Tanya? Oh, sorry. Sorry, my brain. Sorry, and I've just had a brain block from New Zealand, please.
Nicola Belsham.
Thank you, Nicola.
To hold on the trust, I am struggling.
Okay, that's pretty normal where you are in your. So I'd just like us to go around the group and name your name, location, and the stage of your Community Connector program, or if you're calling it something else, that's all fine too. So yeah, maybe I'll start with Gayle, who's the longest in here.
So I'm Gayle and I am from Bundaberg in Queensland. We are coming to the end of our first year of establishment. I'm going to say first year. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, you've been around for a bit.
First year and a bit. 2 years in the network. Yeah.
Okay, and what's yours called, Gayle?
Oh my goodness, at our last meeting we got a name. So our acronym is WAC, W-A-C, but we are Wide Bay Workforce Advisory Council.
Okay, and do you know what you're going to call your program?
No.
Okay.
Probably Welcome to Bundaberg. That will keep that, but we're not sure.
And I was thinking for you, Cindy, that might be something some hybrid of the two. So Cindy, can you tell us about your program and where you're up to and where you're from and all those things?
Yep. I'm currently sitting looking out at the bay that none of you can see on Kangaroo Island. So it's beautiful here. I'm wearing a couple of hats. One of them is with our local medical centre, which is where a lot of the efforts around the Community Connector program was really started, and we found the need there. And the other is with a rural consultancy that I run, which is also really interested in how we can better support new skilled workforce. So we're just at the start of having a couple of people come together to create our Community Connector program. And so we are wide open in terms of information gathering and trying to work out what can best suit us here. It won't be run by council or community funded. It will have to be kickstarted by us, small group of us on the side to start with, so that much we know. But yes, very, very interested at the start of our journey to learn from all of your wisdom.
Right. Thank you, Cindy. And Margot, we're just one word, how you're feeling currently about Community Connector sort of stuff, or welcome experience in your case. And can you introduce yourself, name, location, stage of your Community Connector program?
Hi, my name is Margot Davis. I'm Executive Manager of Local Connect, which is formerly is the trading name of Attract Connect Stay Glen Innes Inc. which goes to how we were founded. Back in the day, we did the pilot program with Kath, 21, I think it was.
21.
Yes, and last, well, nearly a year, bit over a year ago, we won the tender to deliver the welcome experience in Glen Innes and Inverell. So we now deliver the Community Connector program that originated in Kath's program through the welcome experience, which is the government-funded project based on Kath's research and program. How's it going? It's going really well. We've obviously expanded out from just healthcare into all essential services, which is who is eligible for the welcome experience. And so we've got a community connector part-time in Glen Innes, part-time in Inverell. They're probably starting to reach capacity, actually, the people that they're supporting, which is really good. And yeah, that contract goes to the end of July. So we are hoping that will continue and we can continue under that banner. Otherwise, we would sort of look to shift back into how we used to do it before. And I'm feeling...
Say that again. You're breaking up a little bit, Margaret.
I'm feeling positive. Well, as long as I'm not sounding like Mickey Mouse today, Kath, from our conversation the other day.
Yeah, Margaret and I were in a meeting and all of a sudden she started to sound like Mickey Mouse and I couldn't understand a word. So, okay, thank you, Margot. So just for New Zealand, Kangaroo Island is South Australia. Bundaberg, Queensland. Glen Innes, Inverell is New South Wales. Okay. And Nicola from NZ and the Wairarapa.
Kia ora koutou, Nicola Belsham. I used to live in Australia. I lived in Melbourne for a number of years, so it's not so alien to hear these fabulous places that you are all from. Excuse my voice, I have a dystonia, which is due as 6-monthly shot of Botox. So I've got very youthful looking vocal cords, but the rest not so much. I'm into week 3 of the strategic connector for Tūhaoronga Trust. So really just getting started, building the website, building our website directory called Tūhono, which means connect in Te Ao Māori. So that's quite special. It's getting a lot of support from the people that I've been speaking to. My challenges though is really I've managed to condense 18 months of work that the chair of the trust, Barbara Gatting, has been doing with Kath and Anna Moran over the past 18 months into a 1.5-page speak sheet so that we can be clear about why we are, who we are, and what we're doing. My challenge though is how do we get our message, because we need to connect our communities before we can attract the health workforce here, and people are all wanting that. But how do we achieve reach beyond medical centres and beyond community centres? Because most people that need these services are not based in community centres and medical centres. So that's my challenge. And I'm quite keen to hear some feedback on how others may have delved into that, considering that in Wairarapa we have 2 iwi, so 2 Māori cultures, and we also have...
Nicola, I might just stop you because we're actually heading into the next section.
Oh, okay,
so
yep.
That's right. And we'll revisit that. So
Okay.
if that's okay. So I just here's some brief updates that are happening in the Community Connector program work. We have 2 new sites I think I mentioned this last time, in Swan Hill and Rochester. They're both in Victoria. Swan Hill is up near the border of Victoria on the south towards South Australia and New South Wales, and Rochester's a few hours, couple of hours from that as well, much smaller place. It's a Commonwealth funded program, and Carly will be working with me on this. And it's part of a bigger workforce planning program for that area, particularly medical workforce. And so they're currently recruiting what do they call it? A workforce project officer. They've got a slightly different tack. So we're interested in this. They're going to be using a coordinator, the project worker, and they're going to use volunteers to do the concierge service. So of course that's of interest. Does that work? What does that look like? Is it as more work? I actually think it's kind of, my guess will be it'll be as much work, just a different slant, but the coordinator will be just as busy making sure that those volunteers are well supported. The capture of data will be really interesting. How do you do that when you've got volunteers? So we've got to develop a particular training program for both that project worker and those volunteers. So that's not anything we have off the shelf. So that's so they will also have a kind of a support, an impact network like this one, but because they're sort of so different in focus, we'll probably run that one just by itself, unless I think it's valuable to bring them into this one. And so that's about a 12-month project. It started in July, but they're slow at the moment, so it hasn't started yet. So so we look like 9 months of implementation. So it should be interesting, because I think it will, if I think it is of interest, we might send Christina back in to do an evaluation and some research on that, so that we write that up. Can I remind you that we've got your Ask Me Anything sessions, and can you please book? I've extended the dates. We're now working from the 21st of September to the 17th of October. I would just book something and we can have a chat, even if you can't work out what it is you exactly wanted to chat about, or send somebody else that, so, you pay for these. So please, book, and we'll talk more. And I'll bring Carly in if I think it's more, and that might be particularly for you, Nicola, that we I'll bring Carly in if I think it's ask us rather than just me. So yep, that's it. Any questions there? Anything people want to say? No, all good. Thumbs up. Yeah, great. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Samara now, and she's going to provide you your survey results. Thank you for everyone that replied to that. And then she's going to do some polling, around some of the questions that we're still need more feedback from you. So Samara, handing over to you.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, nice to see you, and nice to meet you for those that I haven't met before. Yeah, my name's Samara. I help Kath with a lot of like the behind the scenes admin sort of work. So let's start by going through the poll questions. Yeah, thank you so much to everybody that replied. It's super helpful for us. So the first question was, what stage is your community connector currently at? Keeping in mind, we only had 5 responses submitted, so 40% of 5 said that they're an established program, so more than 12 months, and then kind of an even split through everything else, except for recruitment phase and expansion phase. Next, so the top 3 challenges heading into the end of 2025. So the top 3 were stakeholder engagement and maintaining momentum, securing funding and sustainability, and then the last one was marketing and promotion and community awareness. And looking ahead to 2026, what areas would benefit your program if strengthened? So top 3 we'll share were strategic planning and future proofing, and then team development and capacity building, and governance effectiveness and leadership. And moving into the webinar sort of section, how do you typically participate? Most people said they attend live sessions regularly. Other answers were attending occasionally, and then a mix of attending and viewing the recordings. And the main reason that people don't attend live sessions is work commitments, which makes sense given our time slot is in the middle of the afternoon, I think, for you guys. And if you don't watch the recordings, what prevents you? Most people said that they just prefer the live interaction, which is great for us. And then other answers just split between you didn't know they were available, which I think we've got a few new people, so we'll address that just now. Forgetting to go back and watch them and just finding the time for it. And what would make the webinars more engaging for you? So a split between interactive polls and real-time feedback, follow-up implementation challenges and accountability. And the next 2 were more opportunities to share. And we have an other option, but I can't see what it said now, just now. So yeah, we'll try to take this feedback into consideration planning ahead. Next, are you aware of the Community Connector Playbook as a resource? 60% said that they know it exists, but they haven't accessed it. And then a split between using it regularly and then using it a few times. Those that use it has found it very helpful, which is great. Those that don't use it, the main reasons are they don't know how to access it and they're too busy to explore additional resources. And what would make it more useful? The majority said downloadable templates and tools, and then a split between stage-specific guidance, regular updates with new content, and then quick reference guides or checklists. And then this is the topic, what would you like us to focus on for the next few months? So the top 3 were sustainability planning, strategic planning, which is like goal setting. And then the next top one was innovation and adaptation, sharing creative solutions and successful programs. And then this was just an open question on your end. What would make the webinar most valuable? So some of your answers were support and camaraderie, a forum to share challenges and support each other. Our focus is on governance and strategic planning and delivery. So looking more deeply at different models and also structural organizational structures would be beneficial. Should we be an incorporated association or social enterprise? More involvement from other sites to learn from others doing the work. And then the last comment was that they have 2 new starters, heavy hitters, haven't worked together before. So quickly enabling a common understanding of helpful strategies and pitfalls so they can hit the ground running. Okay, so those are the responses. Any questions or feedback or comments?
Thumbs up.
Cool. Kath, anything on your end?
No, all good.
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll just do a quick poll, see if we can get it working properly. So I'm just going to put a link in the chat here. So that should open directly to the poll. If you can't access can't access it or can't see it, please let us know.
We're talking Australian time, so sorry. So is it -2 hours at the moment? +2 hours. Thumbs up when you've done, so we just can.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is it
thank
just the
you.
one question on the poll?
We've got more,
Oh,
but we
once
have to answer the
everyone,
first.
yeah. Once everyone's done, I'll move along to the next. So is everyone all good? Yeah, all good. Okay. Do you want to view the response, Kath?
Yes, please.
Okay, so
Okay.
early afternoon, 100%. I think
So
that's where we're at now.
So that's kind of stay where we are. Can everyone come off? Yeah, nods. Yeah, stay where we are. Don't change anything. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So
I'm relieved to hear that. Okay. And this is
next
the
question
day.
is, yeah, which day works best for you?
And thumbs up when you're done.
All good. Okay.
All right. All good.
Okay.
All right.
Tuesday.
All right. So everyone's agreed that we could stay at Tuesday. Is that what it's telling us? It is. Is there anyone that has? So generally, while there is some challenges getting to this meeting, you prefer it's okay to keep it at this time and on this day. Can I have a thumbs up for that? Yeah. All right. Great. Okay. We will not change anything.
Perfect. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, we'll just do the last question at the end then.
Yeah.
Right. So we can leave that. Okay. So the next thing is, since we've got a few new attendees, I'll just take you through the playbook. Just
Can
made
you
a couple of
just,
changes.
yeah, Samara, could you just put the
Yeah.
link in the,
Yeah. So I have, instead of using that giant Google Doc link, I've just changed it to something a bit more manageable. So that's the link. It should take you directly into the playbook. You will be able to edit anything. I think you have viewing permissions. Yeah, perfect. I see some of you have popped on. So the biggest changes that I've made are just at the beginning and in like usability. So I've just put sort of an instruction page here, how to use the playbook. So for those of you who haven't used it, what you'll find inside are like some guides and resources, some reference links, some templates, and then we also keep all of the links to the webinar videos and the transcripts from them in these as well. So if you ever miss a webinar or you want to go back and view something that we spoke about, you can always find the webinars in here. So the best way to navigate it, you should be able to see a little tab on the side, and then you can go through. I've also, to be honest, I find this a little bit difficult because some of the names are cut off, so I find it a little bit difficult to navigate using that. So I've also created a little table of contents, and then these are all hyperlinked in, so you can just click on it. I just find it a bit easier to read, so yeah, I thought maybe other people would as well. And then, yeah, if you're not sure what you're looking for or you can't find it, you can always use Command F or Control F and search any keywords, and then it will come up. So that's a good way. You are just looking for something general or you want to see what's in there on that topic. Next is, yeah, this is a living document. So we're going to be continually updating it and adding things to it. Using the playbook offline, you can't download the full playbook, but you can download a page. So, for example, if you want to download this about the case study, you should be able to file and download a PDF, and you can download this page to use it offline. Unfortunately, you can't download the whole thing.
And Samara,
and
can you download, you know how I saw just below that was a checklist? Can you show us how to do that? So we were wherever we were, just
where?
so there's the see the case study template. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So some of them will have a resource. So this will show an example of what it is. And then to download the template, there'll be a link here. Click for a resource. And then it should come up in a new window. And then, yeah, you should be able to download. Yeah, you should be able to download that.
Right.
Yeah, and then just save it to your computer there. So yeah, some of them are PDFs, like kind of an outline for you to use. Some of them I think are Word documents that you can make direct edits. And if you find you prefer one or the other, again, you can just let us know and we'll be happy to make any adjustments. What else? So bookmarking the playbook. So for ease of access and making sure that you don't lose it, you can save the playbook as a bookmark. So in Windows, if you use Control-D, you should be able to bookmark. If you have a Mac, Command-D, the same thing, should just come up here and then save it into a folder. And then you'll always be able to find it. The other option is to take that link. I have on my notes app on my computer, I save all my important links and things that I access quite often on a notes app. So if you have something similar, that's also something you can do. Or if you use like a Notion or something like that, you can save it in there. And then, yeah, last, if you have any suggestions or you'd like to see something there and it's not, you can always send us an email and let us know. And yeah, the other section is I've just done like a what's new section. So anything new that we add, I'm gonna put it here at the top and it will live there for a month until we do the next update, and then I'll move it into its own section, and then anything new will come up there. So you can check there if there's anything new, and then the other one was just the table of contents. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments on our playbook, any feedback, we would love to hear it.
Yes, please. Samara, can you just show people where the videos are?
Yeah. I can. So the videos are all at the bottom here or in the table of contents. It's the very last one. So they're arranged. These are the old videos from 2024. So I did include a little description there so you know kind of the topic and what it's about. You can also access like the overview. We'll give you a very brief sort of outline of what was spoken about, and then the transcript is everything. And then they should all link directly to YouTube, and it should just come up there.
So that summary is also really useful to go, I actually just want to see that bit. Like you might have put in a query about a CRM, for example,
And there was a number of videos that have talked about it, or a number of webinars. So it could help direct you to where there's information on this. So
Yeah.
the search function is pretty useful too. So
Yeah. And I think some of the videos
yeah,
also have timestamps as well,
great.
so a bit easier to navigate.
Could I actually know who's using it a lot? Is there any of you that are using it a lot? No. Okay.
It's the first time I've seen it, Kath, but it looks like a really good resource. Like I've definitely got questions that I think this can already help with. So thank you for taking us through that.
Yeah. And Nicola, it's particularly useful. Well, it's useful for many things, but there's a lot of startup tools and what to do in the first few months. And I know that your focus is slightly different from this, but it's familiar enough, particularly around community liaison and stakeholders and extending out healthcare. So there are, and once we have a list of all your challenges today, I'll get Samara to actually get into the playbook and have a look for, and give you a prescription. Here's the things so it'll get you A, using the playbook, and B, seeing how rich it is. There's a lot in there because it's been, I think we've been building it for 2.5 years. And everything that we send you, we'll put the link to help you, I can't find it, whatever. We know that, and I know it'll be in our emails. Look for it. Now, I occasionally might change that link. So just in case, as our group changes, it's for current subscribers. So beware of that too. So you've just changed it, Samara, haven't you, based on what I asked last time?
I haven't. That tiny URL is based on the old link, so they both should work.
Okay.
But yeah, read your email, we can chat about it.
Okay, all right. So watch this space. We'll let you know if we've changed the URL. But so I really encourage you to have a look at it as your first stop and become really familiar with it. And please ask us if it's not there. We're really happy. Between myself, Samara, and Carly, we should have something that we can provide you. Or create, and we're really happy to do that. We're here to be responsive, as I say. You pay for this, so it's as good as you are your questions and your engagement with it. And over the years, we'll get different software, I imagine, to make it easier to navigate. But this is good enough for the time being, I believe. And I don't want to overload it with. We actually need you all in the habit of using it, and then we could talk about how to improve it. Okie doke. Thank you very much, Samara. So now we're going to get into the meat of today. And so what we're going to do is, so I hope you've all seen from the email what I was going to ask you. So we're going to, because you'd like it more interactive and you want to hear from others, we're going to do these 3 rounds. First, we're going to talk about the greatest challenge or the biggest challenge and for about 2 to 3 minutes each, so that we listen to all of those. Then we're going to go back and we're going to tackle one of those at a time, with all of us inputting if we have something relevant to share. Samara's going to be note-taking for it, and you'll get your note takes and your prescription and all the things when we're finished. And then I'm going to ask you to come back next month. Don't not come back if you haven't done your homework, but did you apply any of those, and did it help? What do you need? Those sorts of things, and bring it back again. And I think we'll regularly hold this sort of session to help you hear from others and less from me. And just in terms of, I think one of those, just to say, one of those items was about best practice and what
exemplar sites. There's a lot of those in the webinars. It was really the focus of the first 6 months. So I probably won't be doing too much of those, although it is probably time to interview Margot and some of the, being the longest established site, her and Shepparton. But she's got a lot on, and we probably won't do it. We might do it right towards the end of the year. But she's got some interesting governance stuff going on and new ideas about. So, but we'll just, if that's all right with you, Margot, we'll leave it. But I'm hoping you're open to discussing where you went from to where you've ended up and why.
No problem at all. Once I figure it out, we can talk.
Yeah, she's right in the middle of it, and so it's just
right in the thick of it. It should be this week that I get the options paper back. So yeah.
So let's go. I'm going to start with Gayle. Gayle, I'll probably start with you because that's just the ones that are more familiar.
Sorry. Okay, biggest challenge. For us, I think it's bridging the gap between the vision and implementation, keeping momentum and engagement strong while doing this largely unfunded, as it's pretty time intensive work, and it's a big investment in engagement. That's in essence what our biggest challenge, I think, is. We've done a lot of great work, particularly around co-designing and building a group of people that are really invested in the need and shaping the vision of what the collaborative principles of the group are. And there's genuine buy-in for a whole of community approach. But I think before we can really move beyond that, there's this, I think that we're going to be stuck in this loop of how do we get properly resourced to actually implement the work that we want to do. And I think that this tension really shows up in a couple of different ways around the people who are sitting in the group. We're all doing this work on top of what we're already doing. So that can cause lagging in the role, disengagement and/or burnout. So I'm really mindful of that, more so on our people, so Angela and I, rather than the other members in the group. They aren't as heavily resourced as others. So we have a strong core group, but I think we need to better rely on those other outer rings in our engagement strategy to ensure that they can provide some valuable contribution, so then the core group don't burn out. And that comes back to resourcing. And I think looking at a bigger picture, currently being unfunded, it takes significant time and energy, and that's being carried by a few. And so that's tough. So how do we keep the momentum alive, maintain great engagement across all of the partners, stakeholders, core group, but actually build a sustainable implementation model? I think that's where our challenge is. So, just a small thing.
All right. I'm thinking it'll be confusing while we're in your zone. We might just go straight to the problem solving part. So can everyone unmic and let's ask any questions that you need to help your understanding.
Are you looking, Gayle? It's Cindy here, not Hunter. Are you looking for people to support you in a paid capacity or volunteer capacity, or do you not know yet?
I guess the short answer is we don't know yet. But I think for like I'm actually interested in that volunteer structure. We have thought about that in the past. However, I think just going off what I've learned in the network over the last couple of years, I think having a paid person in a coordinated type role, strategic coordinator, connector role, is most beneficial.
Gayle, just to and just put your hand up if you just to be clear, is the burnout the committee or you or the working group or you and Angela?
I think it's Angela and I. I think the committee, the core group, they're all full swing, but they're not really doing the heavy lifting at the moment.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Nicola, because Nicola she's not been brought on for a community connector program. She's kind of pre that. And Nicola, can you just why you're called a strategic connector rather than
Well, it's been decided by the trust, but I think it comes back to the fact that we've got to connect our community before we can attract a health force to work here and feel connected to the community. My previous role has been General Manager of Business White Wrapper, which is the Chamber of Commerce here. And a little bit like Gayle, I was a sole contractor with a board of 12 people who could dip in the weeds a bit. And so what I'm hearing from Gayle is perhaps there can sometimes be a disconnect between those that you report to and the actual doing. The people that you report to don't necessarily understand the engine room that goes into doing what you do to be successful. And yet sometimes people on boards, on trust, as I said, can dip into the weeds and come out of it a bit. So I found myself getting quite burnt out with that role because I was one person looking after 460 businesses across the region, got to know those businesses and entities very intimately and be able to connect them with each other. But it's not something that the board necessarily understood as vital to the role. And so the board would have, so I don't know if I'm answering your question, Kat, but I'm hoping I'm answering Gayle's, how she's feeling at present. That can be really frustrating because it's very hard to communicate the engine room to those that are making the decisions or think that they know what's happening at a ground level. And I often find that I don't know if it applies to regional or rural communities, but whether it does or not, boards often have a top-down approach, whereas the work that I believe that Attract Connect Stay is doing is a ground-up approach. And sometimes it can be quite hard to fill in that gap. Is that making sense to you, Gayle?
Margot, or have you got any suggestions?
Yeah, look, I completely get that. Like I've gone from a very grassroots committee to a governance board, and it's quite a shock for me in the exec manager role because I'm doing things that I wasn't having to do before. And I think there's a couple of things. I think it's roles and responsibilities and agreeing who's doing what and that there is a middle ground, which is an operational board, which I think is where I wanted it to go, but it's gone the other way. It's gone to a governance board, and I'm literally taking on stuff that I shouldn't have to do. And that's creating a little bit of burnout in me as well. And I'm not even the connector. So, you know, I'm just the exec manager of and overseeing it all. But I think what I understand that maybe someone else wouldn't understand in my role or the board don't understand is how much time it takes up for a community connector to do their role. You know, it's running around in the car, it's on the phone on conversations that, you know, a beginning and an end. They just happen and they happen naturally. And you're on the phone for as long as you're on the phone. It's not structured. It's very flexible. It's, I got to be on right now, or, you know, oh, I'm going to clock off now because I know I'm going to go and help someone on the weekend. It's just, you know, it's an always on kind of role, if you like, and you've got to put boundaries around it for your own mental health and, you know, and life. But yeah, it's the connectors. The way I help my connectors is I say, well, make sure that you are taking care of you first, and then take care of everyone else, because it doesn't work the other way around. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say there other than try to build in the flexibility to do the role, yet look after yourself and put your barriers up to who you're working into.
And Cindy? Thanks, Margot.
I love the advice that Nicola and Margot have just given to Gayle. I might be a bit confused here though with my next question. Are you responsible for deploying the community connectors, or are you being a community connector? Which hat are you wearing?
Yeah, we are not delivering any services yet. We're still in establishment phase. So we're actually bringing the group or the committee, the board together to actually launch a community connector into the community. So we're like still at the beginning of being able to deliver something. And so we've been working away on getting that momentum, getting the right people in the room, them working out what do they want to do, how do they want to do it, getting that buy-in. And it's not, and essentially we've got all of this other project work that we do aside from this. This is just one of the things that we do that are all funded. They're all funded over here. This is something that's not, but this still takes up a lot of time and energy and resource. And what I don't want to happen is for this to get buried over here under something because it's not a paid project.
Yeah.
Sorry, as part of the challenge that it is that during this early phase, it's hard to demonstrate tangibles.
Yeah.
Is that the challenge? So
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And one thing that comes to mind, Gayle, because we're in similar but slightly different situations, I've realised that I don't actually have to do it all myself. So finding those champions that do buy in already and that are willing to do some work and really being able to effectively delegate is what's helped me to avoid the burnout scenario. Because I would love to jump in and do everything. I actually can't for a number of reasons. So that might be just some thinking around who have you got in your team, or who are the up and comings, or who's potentially a paid position that you can carefully delegate to, and then work with that person to do the heavy lifting.
Gayle, I'll just finish. Thank you, everyone. And I'm not sure we're going to get to all four, so I'll ask who's got the most burning presentation, because I actually think this is quite useful, but we need to take the time. Gayle, I would really refer you to some of the articles that have been written by myself about Mid-Coast, and what Bree talks about in her. So her group is very like yours. And she talks about everyone having a role.
And I think you've done a lot of planning and talking. It might be a point that you could now talk about, well, what role? What's the doing part? And you know that I'm not a great believer in grant funding, but I think you're an absolute sitter for some seed funding at the moment to help you get from a bit like what's happening. So in New Zealand, there was a lot of planning for a long time, but how do they get to the next point? They've actually appointed Nicola, and I think you're going to need something like that. So I think together we should look at seed funding, what's available, kind of step back. We're not trying to implement a community connector program. We're trying to actually build the building blocks so that you can. And I don't think it's a lot of money, but I think you could probably between 10 and 20,000 do a lot of work, particularly without But you're kind of ripe, and you're now need to do some kind of doing.
Yeah, it's like 1 day a week. I've got someone in my office, if they had an extra day a week that I could pay them to be there to work on this, that would, we'd move leaps and bounds.
You can also do too much planning. Like when we started, we literally figured out, like we got ourselves a little working committee group, right? Which sounds similar to you. And we were, what is our main thing is to employ a community connector that can then go and deliver the service. So how much money do we need to raise? Oh, okay, well, we need $65,000 or whatever it was. I can't remember. And so that's job number one, raise the money. Like, you know what the program is, you know what it delivers. You just need the money to employ the person to go and do it. So don't you only have one job at the moment, which is to get the money? Or are you still selling in the concept to the community?
I think the core group have got the concept now.
Yeah.
I think
I'll just
so
go
too.
out and start raising money.
Gayle. Yeah, so I think it's now kind of what's some halfway measure that can get you further to, you can plan forever. And I think you guys know what you want to do. You've kind of had the end result. You've just kind of needed to bring people with you. And, my observations were you've got a very sassy group who's ready to go, and you could lose them if you stay in planning forever.
Yeah.
So there's kind of some, and I would drop meetings or planning and go, let's get to funding. Let's focus on that for the next few months to see if we can, move on. And maybe, in terms of the role thing, there's something about the two.
I think so.
Yeah.
Number one, everyone come back with 3 ideas to the next meeting of how we're going to raise $85,000 or whatever you need to raise. Okay, radio.
All right.
Do that. You go do that. You go look into that. Done. Job done. Sorry, I'm just like action.
Yeah. So who's really keen? Nicola, given your sort of whatever the adjective you used, would you be okay if you present it now? Great. Okay. Yeah. Is that all right with you and Margot and Cindy? Great, thank you.
Yeah. So we've got something tangible. We've got tangibles in that we've been doing some community education, some events. So to create a database of engagement, not just from the health sector itself, but people that want to be more connected with each other and with the health sector. We've started work on building our directory. So that's happening in the background. The challenge is Wairarapa is a big, as I'm sure you're all familiar with in your own regional and rural communities, we're a big region made up of small communities. And people in Wairarapa tend to cross-pollinate into these different communities. So I often liken living in Wairarapa, which is at the bottom of the North Island, it's one of the biggest regions in New Zealand, is a little bit like living in your high school classroom, but in a good way. We all kind of know each other. We all know someone who knows someone who knows that person. But the challenge is once we've got our website to hono, which means connection, how do we get it? And a lot of this might be in that very resource heavy playbook. But how do we get it out beyond the medical centres, beyond the community centres? In my role with the Chamber of Commerce, you'd often find places like Inland Revenue saying, oh, we have all these resources in community centres for businesses. And my answer to that is that businesses don't hang out in community centres. We've got people that aren't registered with the health system, so they're not hanging out in medical centres. So how we also have quite a few economic development entities that are trying to work together, but kind of work in silos. Yeah, my question is, how do we get beyond the health sector to showcase what the health sector is and what a wrapper?
For what purpose, can I ask?
So for us here with our Māori groups, our Pacifica groups, we have quite a lot of refugee population as well. People don't know what health offerings there are in Wairarapa, and even our medical centres will refer people to Wellington rather than to other agencies and businesses that can do the work here in Wairarapa at less the cost and without the travel to a major city. So the purpose of Te Hono in the first instance is to connect our health sector with each other, but also connect our communities with what they can access in terms of health. You know, community and people don't necessarily need to go to their GP. They can go to a Māori healer and who is ACC approved, rather than go through the GP system in the first instance, or primary health in the first, primary care in the first instance. Another example is my daughter's just been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, but I didn't know how to get that access. It turns out there's someone in my township that is from Autism New Zealand and is present here for 2 days a fortnight, but I didn't know that. And I live in a town of 1,800 people. So how do we showcase that the health, how do we advertise or let our communities know what's actually available?
Okay. Margot was first, then Cindy. Margot.
So basically, you're creating a directory of what healthcare services are available, but you've got but there's no central place where economic development, other healthcare, other industries are all, the information is all in one place, basically.
So my fantasy is that we can work with our regional tourism operator and with a couple of other Wairarapa Inc. agencies to create the version of the Shepparton website. We've got that potential here because it's all in siloed. And just to put that into perspective, within 40 kilometres of each other, we have 3 district councils. So that's 3 different economic development agencies that work as council. It's 5 hyper-local townships that are very parochial. You know, it is a challenge, and yet people that come to Wairarapa see Wairarapa as the whole thing, not just as, you know, I'm here in South Wairarapa. Oh, 10 kilometres later, I'm in Carterton.
So do you have a relationship with the 3 different councils?
Yes.
So can you work on a regional collaboration project that creates a digital hub for
that's work in progress, because we've got council elections happening in a couple of weeks. So it'll be all new councils and new mayors, and so you have to re-educate the councils and mayors on what you do and what your value is.
The big picture is that it sounds like you need a digital hub. Actually, I tried to create one in Glen Innes when I was manager economic development, and it was based on a platform called Localized, but they unfortunately went broke. But it was a really good platform. And it was about, it had, of course, directory, but it also had areas for engagement, And yeah, I think that it sounds like you need a regional project, perhaps funded under some destination management funding, or economic development funding.
So, I mean,
where
there
you
is
can
that
create
plan.
the online platform for all those things to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that is in mind with, I have a good relationship with our RTO. Unfortunately, there's some politics, of course, but you know, I mean, that's my plan. But I appreciate that. I know that that's where we're heading, and I just see someone's put in the Seeker's Tree from Bundaberg. And that's where we want to go. But it's the getting to there. And the first thing we have to do is build our website and hope that it can expand from there.
Yeah.
Cindy, thank you. And Samara, can you make sure that you've picked up those resources that Gayle's added? Great, thank you. Cindy.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not overly familiar with how New Zealand hangs together. I was just having a little look in the background in terms of regional development boards, but it sounds as though they don't apply so much in New Zealand. They certainly are an option here, which ties in with what Margot was saying. I'm on this island, which has got 4,500 population spread across the island. The other things that have been helpful in terms of finding the stakeholders and defining what's in it for them so that they are willing to support this regional hub. It comes back to economic development of the region as the leverage point. I'm probably telling you how to suck eggs, but that is always a point that they want to hear about. And we have a business hub. So we actually already have a function here set up, which there might be one there regionally, or it might be bigger than that, or it might be smaller than that, but that is a good avenue through which to reach business. And then there's also the associations, which you touched on, the tourism. There's quite a few key leadership positions in each of those associations, and we've found that is a really good avenue to get information out.
Thanks, Cindy. Gayle, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Me?
Yeah, Gayle.
Sorry, I do. I just, my unmuting button is sticky today. Yeah, so we started Welcome to Bundaberg in Bundaberg, essentially to do just what you are talking about, to bring business, government, local community together to connect. And we actually started that really kind of before we knew what we were doing, and before we had the evidence around Community Connector. And so that's really been a good platform for us to promote the work that we do, build that interest in the program, and also support community in telling their story, and for them to have a forum to showcase who they are and what they do. We work closely with Council and Bundaberg Tourism on the resources that are in there and within that that platform, and we kind of bounce off of what they have, because we don't want to replicate anything. And then slightly off something, you know, in a different space is the Seeker's Tree, which is more of a heavy directory around community service organisations, and so that's that social connection stuff that a community connector would use, but it's very much a similar concept around bringing together. It was started through the Family and Baby Network, which basically they wanted this platform for them to be able to do their job better. They wanted to be more connected. So I guess leveraging off of what's already existing in the community, what the relationships that are already there and what they already have, and then using that as a platform to grow something. Like you've got your chamber, what have they got, and how can you use that to your advantage? instead of recreating the wheel.
Yeah, that as I say, that is the challenge, because we don't have an economic development agency here. It's run by Greater Wellington, which incorporates about 6 different regions. Additionally, our business chamber, our RTO boards butt heads, our 3 councils butt heads. So it's so much fun, but I mean, the vision is there. So I'm quite happy. I'm quite keen to update you all over the next few months. But I definitely look at, you know, the Seeker's Tree, Welcome to Bundaberg, the Shepparton website, and that to me is the vision that we want to head towards. So thank you.
Gayle, can I just share one more thought, and it may or may not be relevant there too, but I've done a couple of talks in our region, one to the Garden Club and one to Lions Club. And those clubs have people in them from everywhere. And word spreads amazingly quickly. So thinking outside the box a little bit and the ground up approach, you know, I reckon the Garden Club, it was at their AGM, there was probably 30 people there, and most of them were business owners or on council, or, you know, they're the community leadership. So it might, I don't know, maybe there's something in that for you.
No, I'm just a bit confused what's the purpose of looking at sort of citizens and health services, and the challenge to get them, I think you said, outside of health services. I'm just a bit confused. At what sort of level are we sitting at? Individual, the meso level, or the macro level?
So I'm not from the health sector. I'm a user of the health system. People in our communities don't know what they can access. There's a default cultural mentality that you go to your GP for everything. We do not have enough GPs, which of course is a global problem. It can take 3 weeks to get an appointment, whereas that person who's in pain could be going to an osteopath or another form of health provider that's what we call accident compensation, ACC approved, and get co-funded healthcare. So we have, I guess, what's called the worried well that clog up the system, and then we have people who aren't registered in the system or aren't aware of what healthcare is available to them.
Right, and I know that you've got a slightly different focus. How does that sit with the Community Connector program? I think that's like, so that we're talking about newcomer workforce.
Yeah, so that's the next stage. Once we've connected our community into this directory, we can then attract, well, the purpose then is then to attract health workforce, which also brings their partners, etc., that are skilled workers to Wairarapa. But a lot of people leave Wairarapa because they don't feel connected to their workplace, the people in this community. So it's starting with connecting our community first.
Okay, Margot, probably you've done the most work with that. I mean, that was sort of what we did in the pilot. I'm just wondering if it's
not really understanding. Like what I'm hearing is everything's discombobulated. You're trying to be the strategic lead to deliver eventually the strategic lead to eventually deliver the Community Connector program. And it's just for healthcare at the moment, but you're wondering whether it goes beyond healthcare or you know, because I'm actually hearing 2 problems. First problem is, how do we get beyond healthcare in delivering the Community Connector program? And the other problem seems to be that you've got a discombobulated mess of everyone doing something but no one doing anything in regard to economic development, service provision, etc. So we got two problems here. Am I hearing that correctly? Yeah.
Yes, no, you are correct.
Yeah. So on the first one, outside of healthcare, I mean, what we had to do when we moved from just healthcare as Attract Connect Stay Glen Innes into essential services as Local Connect delivering the welcome experience, was that we built up a list. We basically built up the database of all essential services, you know, fire and rescue, ambulance, the whole kit and caboodle, and put together comms and a comms strategy to reach out to them, to tell them about what we were doing, to encourage them to use and share our resources, to recommend us, refer us to anyone. So we took, and it was a bit of a suck it and see in a way, because was that the right person that we got the contact for? Were they still there? Is their website updated? You know, all those issues that come along with that. But certainly just driving that awareness. So having a really wide awareness funneled approach, and then following up, making the calls. And it was a very direct meeting approach, to be honest, because we had to raise the awareness. Now, we obviously used social channels and papers, media outlets, media releases, trying to get the word out there, going on community notice boards, share our news. This is what we're now doing, just really trying to build that awareness up. And then moving into consideration, the old marketing funnel: awareness, consideration, conversion. So then trying to, use also looking at job roles available in all those other sectors. And so then you're actually contacting the recruiter to say, hey, we see you've got this job going. Do you know that that job would be eligible for the welcome experience? Oh, I didn't know about the welcome experience. Oh, well, let me tell you about it. Next time you've got a job ad up, why don't you add us in there as a benefit to taking this job? So it starts to get more into that, conversion layer. So that's kind of what I would say is really driving that awareness first and foremost, and then leveraging any bite that you have, but also not waiting for it to happen, being proactive and looking at what jobs are out there that the service can support. And then on the other issue around the discombobulation of economic development, different council elections coming up, no real regional plan, no coordinator doing all that thing. That is a big job, thing to solve. You've got to have a round table. I would be saying, wait till after the council elections, go and talk to the general manager and the mayor, get an appointment with the general manager and the mayor together and say, hey, what can we do in this space? I don't know whether it's anything like Australia and New Zealand, where they have to do their strategic plans in the first 12 months. Well, that's the opportunity to say, in your plans, you need to do something to solve this problem. And so you could have a think tank forum, get them all in the one room, get them to bash it out, hash it out, make it facilitated and really meaningful. But the best way to solve that is to get it in every single one of those LGA plans, strategic plans, and take a top down while you're doing the bottom up.
And can I just ask, are you really clear what your pitch is? Because I'm not.
Oh, yes, I am. Yeah, I've got, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please, because all those meetings, people need to know what is it that you're trying to get to, and why. And I think when Margot and I started, we didn't have an evidence base to go, this idea may be effective to address your workforce shortages. I think the transition out of medical is easy, relatively. Cindy, you're starting you know, yes, medical's in there, but it's not the only one we're focusing on. So we've run out of time, but yeah, like I think I'm still struggling to help, because I'm still struggling. Thank you, Margaret, for there's two problems there. You're talking to two people who are, particularly Cindy and Margot, have a wealth of expertise working at a strategic level with their communities. But I just, yeah, I'm not clear what the goal is. And I can't hear the Community Connector program being the endpoint. And I know that that may be what you're directed to do, which is, so what is it that you're pitching is what if that's not, and there's something prior to that, you kind of need to really articulate it. To me, I would just be talking to employers, the people experiencing the problem, rather than the community. I mean, Margot's got a lot of community, and I suppose we're actually trying to shift that a bit, aren't we, Margot? That there's part of that,
to employers,
but but it's not this. It won't actually get you where you need to without a program. You know, we're kind of we're at an organizational level, really, is where
I feel like you're trying to take on the entire world's problems right now, and I'm trying to unpack exactly what you need to focus on.
And I would and I'd probably also emphasize we tend to focus on what is working, where there are strengths. So rather than what's not working.
Yeah.
So underpinning this program is an assets-based community development. We are out of time, so I am really. But I think Nicola, if I can understand better, and we can share that, then I think we can probably identify more resources for you. I can hear that you're stuck, you know, it's a challenging time. And it could be also the brief you've been given is too broad.
Yeah.
And
hey, Kath, I mean, you know, if you're booking a one-to-one with Kath, and I can be of help and come into part of that session or whatever, just to try and unpack this with you a little bit, I'd be happy to do that. I mean, we're not kind of getting to the real, we need to break it down a bit more before we can help you solve it, if you know what I mean. And Cindy's fantastic at breaking stuff down as well. So, you know, I don't know whether, you know, obviously we're all a bit time poor, but it sounds like you've got a lot of, you just need help unpacking some of the problems, because you've got the smarts and the know-how and the experience and everything to actually solve it, but you just need to unpack it a bit differently maybe. So anyway, I'm just offering that if it helps.
thank you, Margaret.
It's up to you.
Yeah. And Cindy as well. Yeah. So these are, you know, we have our own kind of brains trust. So there's a lot of expertise sitting here that could help, which is peer support, which is what this program's, you know, this webinar, these sessions are meant to be about. So let's see if we can get you moving. So we've just got one quick poll. Maybe we'll send that out, Samara. Yeah, we'll send it out to the group. This is about, I actually think we've got another session based on others' input and doing this again, so a couple more, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen in October. So thank you, everyone. And Cindy, if you can, sorry, Nicola, if you can send me that, and we can work out how better to support you between now and in a month. Yeah, great. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good, great day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Samara.